Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. I'm going to change someone's life today. That may seem hyperbolic, especially since we're talking about coasters, but they're more than you might think. But before we get into that, of course, like, subscribe, and all that. I make videos, everything lasers. I love lasers. I get up every day. This is what I think about. It's what I want to do. I'm using my imagination, trying to make something new, something exciting, not just for me, but for other people. And a lot of that is on starting a business, but I'm going to be going over hobby, business, everything in this video today. Coasters. It's way more important than you might think when it comes to lasers. It's probably it is the first project that I would say when you get a laser that you should master. And I'm saying that partially because I did, and it was the first thing that I took out to shows and gave me confidence to keep going. Because you can use scraps. I was using scraps from other people's jobs, and I could practice. It wasn't a big deal. You're not making this huge layered project that, if you mess it up, it's going to cost a lot of money and time and effort. No, I got to try a ton of different things because I was making coasters. And I learned so many lessons. I started out with pretty basic stuff. This is my coaster pack that I just put up as was requested by some of you out there. And the ones that I put in this pack are very intentional. I have sold hundreds of every single one of these coasters. I know them like the back of my hand, especially right here, down here, this corgi butt. This never fails to sell. People love it. It's a great little gift, something somebody, and this is one of the things I want to get into when it comes to coasters. I have taken these coasters and I have made them so extravagant and so nice, which is fun. You get to practice. I learned how to do resin on coasters. One of the first shows that I did, I started learning how to do resin and doing resin pours in some of the holes here, and just to make it look cool. Was it worth it? Hell no, but I learned how to do it, right? And that's one of the things you could do with coasters. It's 4 inches, if you screw it up, whatever, but you can learn a lot. But it is pretty easy to do one of these corgi butt coasters or this cat's, slap it down for $5, it will sell. And so it's very high profit as long as you keep it basic. When you start getting, more into things like this, no, it's not as profitable. But it's a lot of fun, right? I mean, these are all hardwood coasters because I wanted to see how, using the different color woods, that I could make them look different. But could I ever recoup the money that it cost to do this compared to, say, just leaving it like this and just engraving it? No. And this is one of the lessons I learned over time. But for a gift, making it look like this is maybe a much better idea, right? Same thing with these yin yang dragon thing here. So you can make this look so gorgeous. I've done it on mirror. I've done it on all kinds of different things. It can be absolutely beautiful, and you can see how changing the details. I can cut out each side. There's so many things you can do with this, and so much fun. But you want to just do coasters for a profit. You stick down a piece of Baltic birch, engrave it, you cut it out, you stick it on the table, done. Or you can go like I typically do. What I will do is I will cut out, a lot of times it just depends on what kind of laser you have. That's another nice thing. You got a 10 watt diode laser. You can use 3 millimeter and cut that out. And then you take a piece of thin 3mm MDF and you cut just a round layer and then you stick them together. You can just leave it like that. And so it's something you can do with a 10-watt laser that a lot of projects you can't do. That's one thing you learn to do with a 10-watt laser is glue two pieces together to make it thicker. And of course, MDF is really nice because it's flat or it really paints well. Like these bike coasters, these gears, I tell you, I have so many of these in all different kinds of colors. And you can see here, I have them painted. I'm sure I have other pictures I can post of just all these different ways that I have done this. Is it worth it? Absolutely not. But it did draw a lot of people to my table, and I did sell an absolute ton of them. Really nice to do in just different colors of wood as well. So what I'm doing here is I am cutting out two of them and then just mix matching the centers where the bike is. Very simple to do. And then you can see there's a piece of MDF underneath. Now, I will a lot of times cut out a piece of felt just like this and glue it to the bottom. It makes it a little nicer, especially if you're going to do it as a gift. You know, you can do that with all of these. You can just get some felt from the craft store. Make sure you have good ventilation. Felt is okay to cut out, but who knows what they're putting in it. So just be careful and make sure you have good ventilation. It cuts really easy, and you can just glue that to the bottom. Cork is really hard to cut. I have tried so many times thinking, you know, if I could just cut the cork, it's going to make it so much easier. And it's been miserable for me. Maybe some of you out there, it has been wonderful and whatever. It just doesn't work for me. It ends up very, very charred, very burnt, kind of like cutting clear acrylic or something with a diode laser. So you can very easily, though, buy backings. And, you know, when I do this for a business, at some point, if you're running a business, not just selling to the public, which is great, you know, I love doing that. But when you're doing that, along eventually will come somebody who wants to order a ton of coasters from you for something or other. I always use this as an example of Stanford ones because I sold a ton of them to Stanford for their graduation, and everybody knows Stanford, but I've done this many, many times. You will get huge orders. You will get $5,000 orders for coasters. So it's really good to understand how to do it because you literally could make a living just selling coasters. And maybe you want to put them in retail or do whatever. Maybe you're an artist and you do prints, but you need something that costs $5, $10 that people can take with them if they can't afford what you do or they can't carry it or whatever. You print it, you know, some of your prints out on coasters, and that's just a way that you can actually make a lot more profit. Coasters are very important. And you can see here, you can get these in round, you can get them in square, and you can just glue a 3mm on top. Now, another way to go, of course, is that you can just do these in 5mm, and then you can decide, or 6mm, if you have a more powerful laser. I would say 30 watts and above if you're going to consistently cut out 6mm plywood, and you're going to want to use hardwoods and different things like that. I mean, you can do it with a 20 watt. It's going to take you a couple passes in some cases, but it's just the consistency. And that's why the Rolly Lasermatic, when it comes to doing this sort of thing, is very nice because it will consistently cut out your 5 and 6mm without having to do two passes. If you've got a 40 watt out there, same deal, just very consistent. But, you know, as I've said many times, 20 watt laser is a great sweet spot. You can do the 5 and you can 5-6mm, but you can absolutely do the 3mm consistently, glue the two pieces together. You can do it at a reasonable speed. Your engraving is going to look nice. So it's a pretty good way to go. Now, up top here, I have these D20. Not everybody out there is going to know what this is. Some of you are going to be like, what the heck is that up there? It doesn't make any sense. It's a cool pattern, but what's with all the numbers and whatnot? Gamers out there, you'll know exactly what that is. And this is exactly why I always have them on my table. And inevitably, somebody will come from across the way and they will come right to my table because I have those. And watch, you make some of those. I make some big ones sometimes. They will pull people to your table. Somebody, even if like I do some sort of, Japanese festival or something, there will still be gamers in there and they will come over. This is like Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of thing. Now I'm, used to own game stores when I was much, much younger. So this is part of my heritage, my blood. They definitely work. And so the reason why I made this is because it's a nice mix of all these different things. People will come by and they'll be like, oh, my friend owns a corgi, and so I'm going to get this for them. Or my friend loves cats, and this is super cute, and so I'm going to get this for them. Or, my husband's into bikes, so I'm going to pick this up for him. It's just very cheap, easy things people can get because they want to show an expression for another person. And I think that's what makes it really nice. It's not something somebody has to think about all day where they're like, oh, can I really use this? Or can they really use it? Yeah, it's $5. It's a coaster. It can go on the table. I tell people it's art you can put on the table. It just works. And just because these are the ones that I've put in my pack doesn't mean that, this is the only ones. But I know these are light burn ready. I have made thousands of them, so I know that they work. And obviously, if you have any trouble with the file itself, just let me know on Etsy if, you want to talk about some other stuff like settings or anything like that. We'll talk about it here on YouTube. But beyond this, anything that you're working on, say you're working on something bigger, a lot of times you can shrink that down and put it on a coaster. So it's not necessarily the ones that I have. These just work, and I know that they work, but there is an unlimited amount of coasters and different ways and different styles that you can put together. You can practice, you can hone your craft, you can get better without it costing you too much money. Slate coasters, another thing that people love. They print out super well. It's just not something I got into, but that doesn't mean it's not great. I just always felt like they're so heavy and breakable that I just honestly I didn't want to deal with it. But I know that they sell well and they are fun, so that's something you might look into. But, just try to use your imagination. Try to come up with some different fun and interesting ways. This is where you can do that with a nice $5 coaster. And once you get down the coaster, of course, I would move to the keychains. And a lot of these can be shrunk down, turned into keychains. I mean, if you've got my keychain pack, this little corgi here, you could just cut out the actual corgi, put a little ear hole in it, and you've got a keychain, right? You can shrink down these cats, put a hole in the ear, and you've got a keychain. There are different things that you could do. You can make earrings. There's just, once you get this down, you should be able to make just about anything. And that's why I say start with the coaster. So that's all I'm going to say for this one. I hope you learned something. I would love to see what you end up making. And I will see you in the next one. Love y'all.